Hello friends, Psyberry here, and today we have another Darkest Dungeons How to Use guide. Let's get the bullshit YouTube stuff out of the way. Remember to hit the like button down at the bottom, share with a friend you think might enjoy this or might benefit from learning how to use this class, and visit me on Patreon if you feel like. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into how to use the Philomath class. Evidently her canon name is Mora. It's what's written on her collector head trinket, at least, and it's the title of her journal entries on the Steam page. This class was made by Rhett or Retiao. They did the concept, the gameplay design, writing, scripting, effects. Moon Kanan was responsible for the art. 54NBB was responsible for the animation, and False Angel did additional art on the weapons and the armor. So, let's first start talking about her class stats. Her HP here, it's a relatively low HP pool. It's somewhere in between the Antiquarian and the Jester. 18 at first resolve is pretty low, and when I've leveled up one myself up to resolve 4, there seems to be a somewhat diminishing return in HP as you get higher in level, but overall it's very comparable to a Jester's HP. It's a little behind that, so she's a bit frail. The dodge starting at 7, by resolve 4 because it's 22, I'm inferring it'll go up to 27 because they all went up by 5, as is pretty standard. This dodge is slightly above average. It's very comparable to the Shield Breaker as far as evasiveness is concerned. The prot being 0 is not surprising. Most classes are. Her speed starts at 5, which is a good speed stat. However, she is one of the few classes that at Resolve 2 goes up another speed. Most do not progress until Resolve 3, so in the first 3 Resolve levels she will accelerate twice as much as any other class will. And it's assumed her top speed is 8. I have not reached a Resolve 5 character with her yet, so... The accuracy mod being 0, also unsurprising. It's pretty standard. The crit here starts at 10%. The one I have at Resolve 4 is at 13%. It's assumed 14 is the top. This is top of the line. This is the best crit I've found on a character by default. It's probably comparable to a Grave Robber or an Occultist, because they have a high crit themselves, and their moves have a high crit modifier. The damage begins at 6 to 11. My Resolve 4 version has a 8 to 15, I believe, which they're both good damage ranges. She starts off similar damage to a Crusader or an Abomination would, and then kind of slowly loses a little of that top-notch damage and progresses more like a Highwayman at high level. But all that considered, that's actually pretty top tier as far as damage is concerned. So you'll see what we got here is, we haven't even looked at the moves. She's kind of built like a glass cannon archetype. And you can see that a lot of her moves will kind of come off that way, but she'll have quite a lot of tricks up her sleeve. So let's go ahead and take a look at those combat skills. The first one we got here is Head Trauma. It's usable from the 4th, 3rd, or 2nd rank, and it's usable on any opponent. It's a ranged attack with an accuracy base of 95, which is fairly high at Resolve 1. It does 100% damage, and has a crit mod of plus 9%. So when you stack those together, that is a 19% crit chance at at complete damage. So there's no There's no surviving that if you're a back rank stress unit. Like, it's probably going to wipe somebody. Page Cutter is the second move. It is usable from either of the front 2 ranks. It is usable on rank 1, 2, and 3 of the enemy team. It is a melee attack, and it moves her back 1 space. Has an accuracy base of 95, similar to Head Trauma. It has a damage modifier of minus 15%, and its crit mod is even higher at plus 12%. Sundering Flesh is the third move. Sundering Flesh is usable from either of the back ranks, and it hits all of the enemy ranks. It is a ranged attack with an accuracy base of 90, which is still good. Has a damage modifier of minus 70%, and a crit mod of minus 13%. This pretty much wipes out her crit bonus as a standard, because it's very conventional for a AoE type attack to have a low crit mod. This basically puts her on par with anybody with a low crit single target attack, like the Crusader and so on. But this breaks guard and debuffs the targets with a 90% base, so it's not going to debuff every time. But there's probably, as you level up, I would imagine 80% of the time, you're going to see this debuff your targets. It's going to debuff from minus 10% prot, so if you're taking this into the Wield, where everybody's just filled up with that prot stat, she's going to rip through them and make it easier for the rest of the party to mop up and get kills. Fourth move on the list is usable from any rank, and usable on any rank, called Breakdown. It is a ranged attack with an accuracy base of 95, a damage modifier of minus 66%, a crit mod of minus 29%, so it's even harder to crit with this. Technically, I think it's still possible. You can bypass stealth and de-stealth the target. You break riposte, and you debuff that target from minus 6 speed, crits received plus 7%, and minus 10 dodge. So this is a pretty debilitating debuff attack. Single target, and you can pretty much pick any unit you want. The only thing this really doesn't slow down is their damage or protection. So if you have a kit that is Sundering Flesh and Breakdown, you can pretty much debuff anything you want minus the attack stat of your enemy. So that's pretty utilitarian, if you ask me. The fifth ability, Eldritch Safeguard, is usable from the 4th, 3rd, or 2nd rank, and it is a rather unique Force Guard ability. It will choose a target, an ally, and give them 2 blocks, 2 Aegis blocks like the Shield Breaker gets. It will force guard by that ally, and it will stress them out with the horror condition for 6 stress over 3 rounds. It'll give them a bonus to bleed and blight resistance of 15% while they're guarding the Philomath. Other heroes, meaning everyone else in the party, is going to stress out for 4 stress a round for 3 rounds. So basically, and it also gives her stress. Basically, this gives everybody in your party a horror condition, aside from the Philomath, who just takes a little stress damage. And it will set up a perfect tank for her to hide behind. So if you've got like a highwayman running with her, you can give him some protection where he won't take damage because of those Aegis blocks, at the cost of horror and stress. The 6th ability is Absorbent Mind. It is usable from any slot, and it affects all your allies. It clears the horror state with a 40% chance on yourself, I believe. The allies transfer all their horror to you and heal for, at this resolve level, 3 stress apiece. And it will debuff yourself to receive more stress damage over time. So this is useful in 2 ways, if I'm reading it correctly. If your party members have horror, it will pull it off of them, she will absorb it, and they will combine together to make one bigger horror stress ramp on herself. And if she has horror, and you use this ability, it has a 40% chance to cure it outright. So if you don't have laudanum, you can use this move a second time to cure her horror. There's a chance of it, at least. But this other ability comes in, it helps in that regard as well. Malevolent Pact. It's usable in ranks 4, 3, or 2. And it affects the self, the Philomath. It will reduce stress by 6. All allies will get horror plus 5 stress for 3 rounds. You'll debuff yourself from max HP minus 15%, which when she's already pretty frail, that's a little rough. But it will buff all others in your party for plus 5 accuracy and plus 10 damage. I haven't kept tabs on how this progresses, how this buffs stack up as she progresses further in resolve level. But I imagine it'll be very comparable to, like, equipping them with a really good damage trinket. And even if it can keep up with that, it's pretty useful. Now, she has an entire slate of camping skills that are all unique to her. The first of which is Cerebral Numbing. It's a time cost 2, and you choose 1 companion. They are healed for minus 20 stress at the cost of 1 speed for 2 battles. So it's just a little, it's a buffed up version of Encourage, with a tiny cost to pay. 1 speed over 2 battles, you're really not going to miss that much, especially if you're using this on, say, Leper or a Crusader, where speed is secondary. The second camping skill, Eldritch Restoration, is a time cost 2. You choose 1 companion. It heals them 25% of their HP, removes bleed and blight, but gives them 5 stress. So this is a decent one here. The only thing it's really missing is mortality debuffs, but it's it's a powered up version of the wound care. The third unique ability here is Criticism. It's a time cost 2 ability. You choose a companion, and it gives them 5 stress, but they take 20% less stress for the next 4 battles. The fourth camping skill, Unburdened Mind, time cost 2. On yourself, you receive 40% more stress, and you choose 1 companion, and they heal 20% stress. This seems useful if your goal is to get her some stress, or you could heal it off of her easier, and you just want it off that other target. So it's very, it seems very costly, but there's kind of a balancing point for that seems to be obscured, let's call it that. The fifth camping skill, Confront Oblivion. It's a time cost 2. You choose a companion, and if they have mortality debuffs, they take 30% less stress until the next camp. This can be a good way to give a party member who's had a bad time in that dungeon a break, so they don't necessarily hit that affliction chance if they've already, been perilously close to death. The sixth camping skill, Unsafe Dosage, is a time cost 1. On yourself, it will heal you 15% stress. It will heal 30% of your HP, And there's a 25% chance, I believe these are rolled separately, that you are debuffed minus 10 max HP, or debuffed 15% blight resistance, or debuffed 15% bleed resistance. These are all kind of manageable debuffs. There's not a lot of abilities in the game that are going to heal 15% stress, even on self, for 1 cost. This will also bring her HP up. So it's a decent way to get her, off death's door or some stress. The 7th ability is unique in that it is not functioning yet, and the way they kept it from being selected is actually kind of hilarious. Sleep is Coming is the name of this ability. The time cost is currently set for 666, presumably because they don't want you to break your game by selecting it when it's not ready. It is a self-only ability, and it will debatably, I think what they're going for here, what they're trying to code in the background, is this you select, and it will give you a damage bonus against a specific enemy, known as Somnium, which seems to mean dream, I think, in Latin, something around there. And 25% protection versus the Somnium as well. So I believe this ability will summon a nightmare scenario and give you bonuses against that nightmare creature. So overall, I think there are a lot of ways to play this class. Take a mix of, I think, these first 4 abilities and highlight it with 1 or 2 of these. I think the way I generally like to do this is keep her in the back ranks as far as I can, bring head trauma to take people out wholesale, and if you just want to soften people up so that your other party members can get a kill, bring Sundering Flesh. I think these 2 have some good synergy together, so something like this would actually work wonders, I believe. If you want to mix in some mobile units into your party, probably get rid of this, because it's gonna not be useful half the time, and bring in something like Page Cutter for if you get stuck in the front. And basically you can kill with these, you can set up a guard and some blocks with that, and this will basically erase the negatives of stress over time to your party. But as long as you bring a lot of laudanum with her, this synergy doesn't have a huge cost, because you can set up a block with this. They have horror, they take a little of stress damage in that next turn. The next turn you set this up, clear their horror, stress heal them a bit, and that horror goes to you instead. And then the very next turn, use a laudanum and continue attacking. So, I think I would probably use something similar to that. Yeah. She works well with a lot of classes, especially if classes generate horror or benefit from having stress, that kind of thing, like Senua, for example, benefits from having a lot of stress. The Abomination giving stress to everybody, she can kind of counteract a lot of that damage he's giving by Absorbent Minding semi-frequently. Overall, there's a lot of flexibility for use in as far as team compositions go, but I think with a class like this, it's way better to look at how she works than to plan for it, so to speak. So let's check it out. Okay, we are actually going to need some laudanum, because I anticipate that my moveset will utilize it.
The flopping fish-like things abhor the warding sigils. Let us claim this place anew.
Let us claim this place anew, indeed. Alright. I'm in a unique situation as far as trinkets are concerned on her. I'm testing my own class, so I have a unique collector's head trinket for my own class that I believe works well with AoE units. Basically has a chance to activate Blight on an attack hit. So that's what I'm going to use with her. I'm going to use her to basically set up Blight on the entire enemy party in most situations. And I'm going to hope to counteract any stress ramping with Fan Favorite and the Ringmaster here.
A devastating blow.
Alright, there's two of them. There's still kind of a benefit from doing this. Normally I would want more targets for her to take out. To choose that. Head trauma might have been a better option. But I would have wanted to take out that stealth unit. Specifically, which is probably what made me choose the other option.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
There goes that. There goes that. I'm using a pretty offensive build for her, but I also have the tech to create a blocker. So maybe I'll do that in one of these fights. This video is running a little longer than I typically try and have, so I'm gonna try and stick to the 3 combat viewing a little more adherently. Got some decent stress ramp going on right now.
Masterfully executed.
Okay. So I'm going to set up the shield breaker as my blocker here. Everyone gets some horror.
Consumes the mind.
And then I'm going to blight back, try and get that Pelagic Oracle dead before he gets an attack. We don't want him adding to the stress we're already kind of subjecting ourselves to. Now, if you take your time with this is why I put Blight trinkets on her specifically, and why I'm using the Shield Breaker with his own weird bleeding trinket. Or her own, excuse me. Is that if you take your time with it, you can pretty much remove all the negatives of all that stress, or limit how damaging it is. So let me kill this one. Did not get additional bleed. So
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
No, that's not going to help me yet. Set up some more bleed, maybe? Yeah, that'll kill him.
Is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Oh, you survived at 1 HP. I wish I was focusing on the math a little more. Would have been nice to kill that one. You're gonna guard with your last turn alive?
A death by inches.
Congrats. You did it. Okay, and now I'm gonna hit Absorbent Mind again. Just see if it does what it... Okay, 40% chance was not with me that time. Quite alright. This is why I brought Laudanum. Now if my party... If I were more experienced running a party and I had a slightly more high-tuned group, I could have utilized Fan Favorite a little more, got more stress heals, and kept this 30 over here more like a 15, and kept this 20 more like a 10. So, you can kind of see that she can do some weird, unique iterations of damage. See if I can get another damage, or another, combat.
Ambushed by
Quickly
foul
enough.
invention.
Yeah, I'm passing you. I'll come back for you later. Here we go. Oh, I do not have tech for her in the front row, so let's... Ooh, that actually won't be a good thing. It was going to grand entrance, but it's not going to help her, and it's going to screw over the shield breaker, so... changed my mind. I don't have a good way other than moving her to get her in the back ranks, so I'm going to do that. Alright, turn 1 was pretty much worthless this fight, but we still took somebody out. Not bad. Ooh. Ooh. Plague Doctor is so good. Alright. Still kind of worth. Can I blight you, please? And debuff. So good. And you have a trinket that gives you bonus damage against blighted, so let's get a KO. Stress heal. Yeah, stress damage seems to be fairly manageable. Now, despite getting the party all mixed up, you can stall out these fights long enough to go 3 rounds and do a little stress management in the late rounds like it's nothing. And then you can get kills, finish it off. Crits will help you stress heal. Overall, the Philomath seems like a very unique, stressful on herself and her party glass cannon. So try it out on the Steam shop. It is a lot of fun. I have fun trying to build party compositions around her. And just quick YouTube plug here. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Share with a friend. Check me out on Patreon if it is up your alley. Otherwise, tune in Saturday, there will be another LP, and next Wednesday, there will be another class guide. Thanks for watching. Stay frosty.